What is going on, baseball fans? Jeremy Laracuente here for the Baseball Banter Broadcast. And on this broadcast, we are going to be examining my top 10 third basemen right now heading into the 2023 campaign. Every year, MLB Network does their top 10 countdown at each and every position. Today, we're going over my third baseman. But before we get into my list, let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Who are your top 10 third basemen for the 2023 season? Let me know that down in the comments, and we begin with my number 10. Now, with my number 10 selection, I like to take a little bit of a flyer on a guy, and I think that Ryan McMahon of the Colorado Rockies is going to have a very big season in 2023. I think that there's a lot to like about the way that this player goes about his game, and I do think that he's an underrated player, even as presently constructed. When we look at the 2023 season, I think that there's going to be a big opportunity for Ryan McMahon to really show what he has with the Colorado Rockies team that is going to be playing with absolutely no pressure, in my opinion, going into this campaign. I think that they're going to end up probably in last place in that National League West division. So it's literally going to be a season for him to just kind of develop his own skills as a major league player. So at number 10 is Ryan McMahon. Now, number 9 on my list is a guy that I always like to have on this list because his defensive ability is second to almost none, and that is Matt Chapman of the Toronto Blue Jays. I think that when you look at Chapman, offensively, this has been a player that has been lacking. But as he continues to grow and continues to mature, learn his craft a little bit better, I think getting some different players' voices, different coaches' voices in his ears is really going to give Matt Chapman an opportunity to start developing the offensive game to kind of correlate with the absolutely phenomenal defense that he plays. There's very little question that Chapman is one of the best defenders at the position of third base in Major League Baseball. And I think that going into the 2023 season, if we can start to develop a little bit more offensively from him, if we can start to see that development, that progression start to build up, this is a player that can easily jump up much higher on this list. But for now, Matt Chapman is number 9 on my list. Now, number 8 on my list is Yandy Diaz of the Tampa Bay Rays. When you look at Diaz and his versatility, his capabilities, where you can place him throughout the lineup as well as throughout the fielding positions for the Tampa Bay Rays, this is a very highly valuable player. I also think that when you look at what Diaz is capable of providing, yes, the offense may not seem like a ton of power coming from this guy, but when he does a little bit of everything, and that truly boosts his value to the Tampa Bay Rays. Last season, Diaz would post an OPS plus of 143 according to baseballreference.com. And it was a career best. And I think that when you look at what he's going to be capable of providing the Rays for in 2023, this is going to be a guy who they're going to rely on in the middle of their order and in a very competitive division. This is a guy that you do have to watch out for because, yes, he may not hit for a ton of power, but he's going to be able to really work great at bats. And I think that there's a lot to like about Yandy Diaz, and that places him at number 8 on my list. Now, as we look at number 7 on my list, it is one of the biggest power threats from this position, Eugenio Suarez. When you look at Suarez, what he's been able to do over the last several years, this has been one of the biggest and most impactful home run hitters in Major League Baseball. Since 2019, this is the 4th best home run hitter in terms of just sheer volume of home runs, only behind Pete Alonso, Aaron Judge, and Kyle Schwarber. This is Eugenio Suarez's best and most positive attribute is his power in his bat. Yes, defensively, there's going to be some lacking there, but I think that when you look at what he provides for a Mariners team, this is a force in the middle of their order, somebody that they can game plan their lineup around and really provides a big-time bat. No matter what the size of the ballpark is, I think that Eugenio is going to be a guy that really provides the Mariners with some stability in the middle of their order. And with that, being able to have a guy who is this type of presence in the lineup for a Mariners team that is growing and really starting to battle. They finally ended the longest active postseason drought in the 4 North American major sports leagues this past season of 2022. And in 2023, you expect them to get right back to the postseason. And a guy like Eugenio Suarez in the middle of their order is part of the reason why they're capable of doing that, and why he makes number 7 on my top 10 list of the top 10 third basemen right now. Now, to me, this is where the distinction starts to happen. There is a clear-cut top 6 in the rankings in the order for the top 10 third baseman right now, and we begin number 6 with Rafael Devers. Devers is coming off of signing an extension with the Boston Red Sox that will keep him arguably a lifelong Red Sox. Now, if you look at what this player is capable of doing, yes, there's going to be questions about his defense. This is not going to be one of the best defenders in terms of these top 5 players, but what he provides offensively is a level of consistency that the Red Sox have truly needed over the course of the last several years, and how they will need in the next several years. When you look at Devers and what he provides offensively for a team, this is without question one of the best players in baseball, not even just limited to third base or the position of it, but one of the best hitters in all of baseball. This is a guy that opposing managers, opposing pitching coaches have to plan around. And when you look at what Devers can provide the Red Sox, this is a guy you build your foundation around, and that is the reason why the Red Sox did it. Now, as we look at number 5 on my list, it is Alex Bregman of the Houston Astros. When you look at what Bregman is, this is a shortstop that moved over to third base and has truly blossomed as a major league superstar. When you think about what he is capable of doing, right? And you look at his 2022 season, he finished with 23 home runs, 93 RBIs, an OPS plus of 133, and had 8 outs above average, the StatCast metric to determine hitter defensive metrics. While they're still a little bit shaky, there's very little question when you watch Alex Bregman play, you know just how talented he is. This is going to be a guy who is coming off of a little bit of a down season, as crazy as that sounds for his standards, and still posted an OPS plus over 33% better than that of a league average hitter. So without question, one of the best players in Major League Baseball. And if he gets back to his normal level of production, this is a guy who can be not just an all-star, but potentially an MVP caliber player. Now, the number 4 in my top 10 third baseman right now list is Austin Riley of the Atlanta Braves. When you look at what this player is, this is a guy who can potentially be a perennial conversation piece for the National League Most Valuable Player. When you look at what he provides with the middle of the order for the Braves, 38 home runs, 93 RBIs, a slash line of 273, 349, and 528 with an OPS plus of 142 in the middle of the Braves order in 2022. This is a guy that all teams have to look at and start to fear anytime the Atlanta Braves come into town. When you look at the idea of what he is capable of doing, this guy is able to produce at a massive level. He was number 1 in the National League in 2022 in terms of total bases, surpassing even that of Paul Goldschmidt, who would win the MVP in 2022 in the National League. Austin Riley is going to be a guy whose name is going to be featured in those MVP conversations for the next several years, and that's why he makes number 4 on my list. Now, speaking of a perennial MVP caliber player, Jose Ramirez is number 3 on my list. The switch hitter is capable of doing a great many things on the field for the Cleveland Guardians. And when you look at what he is year in and year out, again, a perennial MVP conversation piece. Over the last several years, Ramirez has finished in the top 5 picks of the most valuable player for several of those seasons. And I think that when you look at what he is capable of providing the Guardians, especially with very little protection that has been around him over the last couple of seasons, this is what makes him so special and so spectacular. This is going to be a guy who provides solid defense, incredible offensive capabilities, and the guy that teams know going in to play the Guardians, this is the guy you have to game plan around, and he still delivers for the Guardians. There's very little question that this is arguably, in my opinion at least, the toughest position in Major League Baseball right now, because this to me is the one that has the deepest pool of players that could easily be number one. There's an argument to be made for any of these top six, Ramirez included. Now, when we get into number two, again, a guy who could arguably be number one, it is Manny Machado of the San Diego Padres. Manny is one of the best defenders that we've ever seen play third base. This is a converted shortstop, much like with Alex Bregman. This is a guy who has made the transition from shortstop to third base seamlessly and become one of the very best that we've ever seen in the game. I think that when you look at the 2022 season that Manny had, arguably should have won the MVP, could have won the MVP over Paul Goldschmidt, but there's no question about it. This is a guy who is constantly putting up numbers. After very early questions when he began his career with some freak injuries of being not able to stay on the field, being injury prone, Manny completely changed the narrative on that and plays almost every single day and post every day. When you look at his slash line in the 2022 campaign, 298, 366, 531, with 32 home runs, 102 RBIs, and an OPS plus of 159. Again, league average being 100. Manny Machado was 59 points better, 59 average points better than a league average player. Manny Machado was amongst the very upper echelon of players in Major League Baseball, not even just third base. And then we obviously know what he is capable of on the defensive end of things. And there's very little question that Manny Machado could easily be number one on the top 10 third baseman right now. But for my personal list, he goes in at number two. As we get into my number one third baseman in the game today for the 2023 season, it is that of Nolan Arenado. Arenado is arguably one of my favorite players in Major League Baseball, and that's really what gave him the slight edge and the nod over Manny Machado. There's no doubt about it. Nolan has been one of the greatest defensive third basemen we have ever seen. He is coming off of 10 straight Gold Gloves in the National League, winning that award ultimately over a guy like Manny Machado, who has very similar stats and skills in terms of the defensive ability. You also factor in that Nolan would finish third in the 2022 most valuable player list behind Manny Machado and his teammate Paul Goldschmidt. There's no doubt about it. Manny and Nolan are just in sync when it comes to being the best third baseman in the game today for me. But again, a personal list, and I love Nolan Arenado, have wanted Nolan Arenado on the Yankees for years. Obviously, that's not going to be the case now. But when you look at what he's capable of providing offensively, Nolan is just as much of a beast as the other two players that he finished behind in the MVP race, and just as much as Manny. When you look 293, 358, and 533 slash line in 2022 with 30 home runs, 103 RBIs, and OPS plus of 154. Again, third base is a position that combines offense and defense, and the best in the game, in my opinion, to do it is Nolan Arenado. But I want to hear from you guys. Let me know your thoughts, your feelings down in the comments. Who are your top 10 third baseman right now for the 2023 season? You can let me know that down in the comments, or you can find me over on Twitter at banter_baseball, where we can keep the conversation rolling. Now, as we've been doing, as we approach our 500 subscribers here on this YouTube channel, we're going to be doing a giveaway for the Baseball Banter Broadcast Thermos. As you can see, the logo of the channel on the front, the name on the back. The way that you're able to win this giveaway is you have to be a subscriber here on YouTube. That is your one guaranteed way to win. If you want to gain extra entries into the kind of draft raffle lottery that we're doing for that giveaway, you can do so by giving yourself 3 extra chances. The way you do that is follow us over on Twitter at banter_baseball, or you can follow our TikTok page or our Instagram page, Baseball Banter Broadcast. By doing that, while being a subscriber, it gives you 4 entries to possibly win the Baseball Banter Broadcast Thermos giveaway that we're doing after we reach the 500 subscribers mark. So we're not too far away at the time of this recording. Let all your baseball friends know. this is the channel to subscribe to and to watch in 2023 as we continue to look at the latest news, notes, and my personal thoughts, theories, and opinions on the game of Major League Baseball. Peace.